Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus again, and I'm here because I love you. I know that seems impossible, sounds crazy, and it sounds like a lie, but I guarantee you it's true. Ladies and gentlemen, I was thinking, I spent so much time on this particular ministry. I don't complain because I was given this ministry. I come to you with knowledge, and I know that you don't have the information that I bring, so I'm justified. I feel comfortable about doing that. I must admit, I expected something phenomenal to happen. I expected something great to happen. What I really expected to happen was for change to occur in we the people. And as an outcome, the nation. Well, it hasn't happened that way. But there have been some things that have happened, and they are responsible for the things that I just mentioned not happening. And I'd like to share with you, you are quite familiar with them, but I'm sure you haven't heard it mentioned as perhaps I will mention it to you. And I must admit, I must not have been saying it an effective way because had I, you would have understood somewhere within this 40-year period, and possibly I would have been kicked off this media source giving you that proper information. And maybe if I'm right on the money, my books would have been burned. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking that I would have that kind of effect on people like we who live today. Nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to waste your time any further, but I want you to know that the number one public enemy, the number one public enemy is, what do we think that number one public enemy is? It's the destroyer, in this case, of democracy. It's a destroyer of anything, but in this particular case, it is the destroyer of democracy. And what is that? It's a lie. It's a deception that struggles and strangles the life out of this nation. You can see it in our people. We want to say we love one another, but the truth of the fact is we know we don't. The actions speak for themselves. No, my friends, we do not love one another. Now, that did not just happen. There's no doubt in my mind, as I'm sure it's not in yours, that when we come into this earth, we come kind of pure, like we're kind of, our slate is kind of clean. And what we are exposed to, our environment, etc., it becomes a compilation of who we are, even as we progress in that natural form of who we really are. These particular realities plays an influence. And what I'm actually saying, ladies and gentlemen, that not only are we influenced by our society and our parents, which serves again as a part of the public enemy, number one, but the main institution that I will speak of as being the most egregious, the most anti God, and what God truly represents is the church. Now, this is what I see. Now, I know when I give you my reasons, and I plan to give them to you if you stay around and listen, you're not going to buy into any of it. And I don't expect you to buy into any of it. But I'm here to tell you anyway. You see, first of all, most members of the church listen to people who have been called into the service of God, they say. And in their preparation for serving God and ministering to you as they do, they study what they call the Word of God. And they translate according to their spirit, according to their engagements in life, their experiences, their commitment to what is happening now, to this particular cause that they have, the sincerity of it. They translate that into the messages that they give you as a statement today from God. But if you really look at it, what they're telling you is what the way I see it is that they're telling you what somebody else has said about God. And even their evaluation of what it really means is based upon what someone else has said, what something that they have read about God, or something that they've been taught according to another man about God. About a book of men who had no book, who were open for some strange reason with clarity enough to receive spiritual messages from something they couldn't see, but it became genuine in them, causing them to walk accordingly, as Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, causing them to walk accordingly. And the story spread. The story spread. And people talk, and we know how people talk. And people write, and we know how people write. And so the documentation have been made that supposedly have been compiled that we call the book, whether it's the Bible or something else, the Quran, whatever. Now, there are some other things that take place that if you got any experience and exposure in life, you will understand that when someone is putting some material together, they got a plan in mind. And what their plan is doesn't necessarily mean the plan. It's a plan. And based upon our experiences in living in this life, we understand that to the winner goes the spoils and the story is told. For instance, if we have any questions about that, all we got to do is look what is happening in the United States today. They're trying to keep the message about the evilness of their past and their treatment of a whole group of people. They don't want that told. The fact that they try to, in January 6th, cause an insurrection to take over this nation, they don't want that particular that information told, and they're trying to squash it. You see what I'm saying? They want to wipe that out. So when Constantine calls his people together to do what they do, I'm sure Constantine has a motive. Now, some people say it's because he had some dream. Well, I'm not going to go into the dream. You know it better than I. And supposedly this here movement has been made based upon that. This here faith becomes a state religion, so to speak. Quash some of these problems. Well, you know, I'm not going to even go into that. I'm just telling you that something came together to bring this together. Now someone says that even when that got out, you got Martin Luther, who had some problems with some stuff that was going on. And he had to take it another way. Yes, then we hear that King James had an idea and it took it another way. And so we got even many additions to these. But I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, if God can speak to any man, what makes these men that God spoke to worthy for God to speak to them? I don't know. I don't know what made them worthy. I don't even know if it happened that way. I heard that. I read that. I don't know if it's true. But what I do know is true is what happened to me. And I didn't read it in a book. Didn't nobody come back and tell me what happened and what it meant. I experienced it myself. In other words, God chose enough of godliness to reveal to me the existence of a power that I cannot see, that is able to do what no human being could ever do. And I don't care if you never seen it or believe a word I say. It has nothing to do with what I do. I'm here because I'm still here when I don't supposed to be. And I'm here because of that power. And because that power wants you to know that that power exists. And this crap that we've given our lives to is the craziest stuff we can ever do. And it's an expression that we have no understanding of God whatsoever. We must understand when I say that number one enemy to democracy is not the answer, but the number one enemy to it is not to fix it or make things right for people, but it's to take it deeper. And it's that purpose of that church. Usually where you would say on the right-wing conservative church, where there are white people over there, basically white, who are the result of a white supremacist state country. They got to have their own religion, don't they? If you're going to be a master, if you're going to be supreme, don't you have to have your own religion? And your religion lifts up what you do. Your religion allows you to hate. Your religion allows you to be a bigot. Say you don't want the babies to die through an abortion, and I don't either. But have no compassion for those who are dying in war, no compassion for those who are dying in the streets because they find themselves destitute for life. And the system that the white supremacist system has allowed to exist feeds them not. And they find themselves doing exactly what the system designed for them to do and paying the consequences. Well, see, that's the system that we live in. And the God over there says it's okay. I'm not going to knock their God, ladies and gentlemen. If that's the God they got, that's the God they got. But I just want you to recognize what they've given you. And it's all of this. Now, somebody will say, well, what kind of God do you have? I have a God that speaks to people through the Spirit. I have a God who wants you to know the truth. And it brought me here to share that truth with you. What you do with it is up to you. I can tell you one thing. Right now, we're on the path to hell. Not only America, but all the nations of the earth on the path to hell. What do I mean when I say they're on the path to hell? I mean they're on a path to receiving more suffering and persecution than they've ever done, at least in our lifetime. Now, before, they might have done it worse before, but I mean in our lifetime, it's never been as worse as it's coming unless you wake up. You wake up. Now, what do I mean when I mean wake up? I mean, understand this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you one more time, and you listen to me well. This is God's world. You can't see him, but God sits on the throne. God determines what comes, and God determines what goes. God determines whether you are or whether you are not. But you know what? He leaves it up to you to choose how you want to respond. And so this, my friends, this big, powerful God that we cannot see created this earth. And all that this earth is, and that means all that this earth can do and is doing. It provides for all of our basic essentials for survival. Food, clothing, shelter, education, healthcare, transportation, infrastructure, anything that we can imagine regardless of how bizarre it is. There has been prepared in each of us a gift that would allow us to participate in the creative process of all of those things that we determine are essential for our survival and our pleasure. And by engaging ourselves with the free resources and using our minds to make what we have determined are essential for us, it belongs to us. And what belongs to us, we can access as we have need, want, and desire. You see what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? And when you live like that, you live with peace and prosperity and freedom, and the joy of your life and your dreams come true. Guess what? You don't have to lie. You don't have to cheat. You don't have to steal. You don't have to walk in the streets with your guns talking about these our streets. These are streets. No, you don't have to do that because they're God's streets, and they were made for people to walk on. They were made for snakes to crawl across, and frogs and rabbits and everything to jump across. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm going to tell you something. In this country, and I'm sure across the world, we all know that people believe that they have a relationship with God in some way, some form, or some fashion. And they probably do. I'm not going to say they don't. But I'm standing here, ladies and gentlemen, to tell you this about a special kind of God that's not like the gods that you guys serve. I want to let you know about a God that loves every last one of you. Love black folks, love white folks, love the cops that's been out there killing black people, and love the black people that been murdered. Love the black people that been hated, and love those that hate black people. Concerned about both of you, that you have exactly what you need to make sure that your wants are satisfied and your desires are as well. I'm telling you about a God that forgives you for all that crazy stuff you've done because your stupid self didn't know any better. But he loves you still. Loves you still and giving you a choice. Do you want to go down this hole of where you're going? Or do you want to stand up and be free? To be free means that nobody's sitting on the throne of God. God sits on the throne, invisibly. But how do you know? Because he sits on the throne of your heart. And how do we know? By what you do. This is how we know. And what do? You play a part in the manifestation of that which is heavenly. That which we can say is like living on, and thy will being done on earth as it is in heaven. Some people just want to call it paradise. In other words, it's right on with the right on. And it ain't coming from nobody sitting on no throne trying to tell you we Republicans got it, we Democrats got it, we Russians got it, we Chinese know. None of them know a damn thing, ladies and gentlemen, but how to take you to hell. Quick. And I'm telling you what I know. I ain't playing no games with you. And if you don't like it, die. I can't say nothing. I want you to like it. I don't. And the evidence that you like it, I want you to do something about it. That's what I want. I want to see the world change. I'm not lying to you. I want to see the people who are giving of themselves at whatever jobs they do, whether they're cleaning toilets or flying spaceships. I want them happy every day. I want them going to sleep at night knowing life is satisfied. Why? Because they got a chance to live at what they were doing, and nobody was putting them down. Nobody was trying to persecute them or talk about them or bully them. Why? Because everybody was satisfied. And you don't have to come to no building to hear me talk about this stuff every day, repeating these stories over and over. I was listening to a man today, and he just got me. I mean, he just rattling this old stuff, telling these old stories in the book, biblical stories. I'm saying, what the devil that got to do with what's going on in the world today? What that got to do with when the brother go up to the gas pump to put some gas in his car, he can only put $5 in there, and then somebody before him put $60. Hey, can you imagine? Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. It's really been a pleasure, and I want to thank you so very much for staying with me. And I can guarantee you, you're going to get something out of this. Now, let me tell you something else. Usually, I don't get but 6, maybe 12 clicks or views. And 6 of those are going to be from me checking to see if anybody else is listening or if anybody else is paying any attention. So I know you don't pay attention to what I do. And I've gotten over almost, 3,000 of these videos out here. So you know I'm not ego tripping. No, I'm not ego tripping at all. I'm doing because I've been given a job and I'm doing my job. You know what? And my payment is that I'm still living. I'm still living. But you know what? I'm willing to pay the price of being born again. So if you don't like me and my God, I'm not going to condemn you. If you want to take me out, and I know some people might say, shut up, boy. Be my guest. Get a name for yourself. All right. Bye-bye.